Yes. So,
Good morning, everyone. We're ready.
good morning. Good morning, everyone. Antoine Thompson, Greater Washington Reaching Clean Cities Coalition. Excited to be with each and every one of you. Today, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. Now, we are a environmental organization that focuses on clean energy and clean transportation. We also support different clean building initiatives as well. And as I'm sure you all been watching the news, the environmental issues are just always popping up, and we live and breathe it every day. I like to start. I would like to start with a couple things as well. The first thing is I want to thank everyone that came out to our golf tournament yesterday. We had the annual GWRCCC Ron Flowers Golf Tournament in Maryland, Upper Marlboro, Maryland yesterday. It was a great event. I want to thank Kim, our staff, our interns, our consultants, our volunteers, all the players, all the folks who came out for the wine tasting, the clinic that brought vehicles out, and most importantly, our sponsors who made that event happen. You too can still donate to the event. Part of the proceeds from the event will go to scholarships to students. We'll be giving away scholarships at our annual conference on October 23rd. I will put in the chat for you the link on how you can donate to the event as well. Um, So you can just go make a donation and either one of the two links. You can donate to any one of the two links that are in the chat. So it'll be great. So we'll October 23rd, we'll actually present the scholarships checks to folks. I wanted to mention just a couple other quick announcements. One is we are gearing up for our annual conference, which will take place on October 23rd, Martin's Cross Winds, Greenbelt, Maryland. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll have an awards luncheon as well. We'll also have uh, about 8 or 9 different panels, discussions. We'll have exhibit opportunities, so you can be an exhibitor. You can also bring vehicles out. So we'll have a lot of vehicles. We're trying to have anywhere from 20 to 50 vehicles on display at the event. You can have ads at a souvenir journal as well. So look forward to that. We're also do have on July 24th a job fair in Baltimore. So for those of you who are doing some hiring, we do have a job fair coming up uh, on June 24th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Baltimore, Maryland. The other thing I wanted to mention is the organization every year, we have a Future Green Leaders program where we're working with several schools in the region, especially in DC and Prince George's, and we're expanding to doing working with 2 schools in Baltimore in the fall. And so one of the things we do every year, we do a lot of stuff like deployment projects, um, EV charging, biofuels. We're working on some hydrogen stuff, et cetera. But one thing we also do is we do a lot of community work too. So we're going to be doing some couple park cleanups this month, one next month. So if you're interested in getting involved with some of our park cleanups, some of the food distribution things, and most importantly, we're collecting school supplies. So you can mail, we're collecting some book bags, and we're collecting pens, papers, notepads, and things of that nature between now and August 22nd. You can send, if everyone can commit to either making a donation or either a tax deductible donation or sending some school supplies to our office, that would be great. We're looking to donate anywhere from 250 to 500 book bags away this year. And so you can put, like, say, for example, your office has pens, right? You have folders, you have notepads and things like that. Or if you have other materials that kids could use when they go back to school from middle school to high school, that would be great. So wanted to mention that as well. Again, the last thing I want to mention beyond the conference, and I'll talk about that again because we are looking for sponsors for our conference on October 23rd. We will be looking for people to be on some of the panels early next week. By next Friday we'll roll out the panels and that we're gonna have. And then we're also still looking for speakers for some of the panels as well. And you can help sponsor and underwrite some of the costs for the conference on October 23rd. The last thing I was going to mention is that there is a funding opportunity, a federal funding opportunity. We'll put that in the chat as well. The low to no emission grant that the federal government has available, that you can use not only electric but other fuels for your transit fleets. That application is due on Monday, July 14th. And so make sure that you take advantage of that funding opportunity. There's several $100 million that is available. I know we've heard a lot of different things about some of the back and forth at the federal level, but more and more money is becoming available again. And so this funding opportunity is on the street. It closes on Monday, July 14th. So if you need a letter of support, reach out to our office. I know we just did a letter of support for one other organization. If you need a letter of support for your application, if you want me to kind of look it over before you submit your application, I'm available to give you some feedback. I've been a federal reviewer on many grants. And so if you want me to give some feedback, I'm on a lot of grant teams all the time. I'd love to give you some free off the record feedback and suggestions. All right. So without further ado, I want to get right into the discussion for today. I know many of you are concerned. Before I do this, go to our panels. Many of you are concerned about some of the things that are happening at the federal level. I want to thank everyone that has been making phone calls and emails about some of the challenges that we've seen around clean transportation, clean energy, alternative fuels. Our organization, we're all of the above approach. We like all different forms of clean energy, clean transportation, whether it's sustainable aviation fuel, renewable natural gas, hydrogen, renewable propane, green propane, electrification, biodiesel, you name it. We are an all of the above approach group, flex fuels, etc. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep advocating. Let's keep organizing. Let's keep working together so that people have access to clean air and clean transportation, because the transportation that we provide impacts the air that we breathe. And so I want to share that with you. Let's keep working together. We are all of the above organization. There's no one fuel, no one transportation energy source that's going to solve all our problems. and make us all live healthy and longer lives. So without further ado, I want to get right into our discussion for today. Today, we're going to hear first from one of our amazing um, school leaders who is doing an amazing job. One of the premier school districts, not only in the region, but in the country. And the Arlington Public School District in Arlington, Virginia, has been doing an amazing job, not only with transportation vehicles, but building vehicles, training workers, working with the community. And I want to welcome to give some remarks Dr. Francisco Duran, who is the superintendent of the Arlington Public Schools. So, welcome today. I'm so excited that you could take time out of your busy schedule to be with us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Antoine. It's a pleasure to be here, and good morning to everyone virtually. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join this very important conversation. Very honored to represent Arlington Public Schools and my staff who really work hard on all of this, and our school board who have really put forth, even in our strategic plan, the focus about making sure that we are providing a cleaner, more equitable environment space for all the work we do, whether it's transportation or even our buildings, and also beyond that, really instilling in our students that sustainability is a responsibility of all of them, and so even instilling that in lessons for them. So as we think about environmental awareness and various things that we are doing and stuff that we can to do, we're really proud that we're part of the clean transportation movement and some of the work we've been doing. Currently, we have 8 electric buses in our fleet of school buses, all made possible through partnership with Arlington County. I want to give a big shout out to Sunny Merriman and a Virginia-based company. These buses are an exciting step forward, and they're just the beginning because we have a lot more to do. We want to certainly have much more than 8. We do need to think about how we're working with our county simultaneously in terms of charging stations and the infrastructure for that, which we have the infrastructure for the 8. We could probably get up to maybe 10 with the infrastructure we have, but that's going to be something we're going to have to do a phased approach in. There's been some studies, joint studies that we're working on with our county partners because of where we do park our buses. And it's also included in our strategic plan, as I said, thinking about we have a strategic plan we just established through 2030 with one goal of making sure that we are providing this type of clean energy for our transportation. But it's not just our buses that we've been working on. We also have our white fleet, which is our vehicles that our staff and our maintenance personnel drive. We have about 100 vehicles in our white fleet, and right now 18 of those are electric vehicles. Those are sedans, vans, trucks. We even have an electric forklift. We also have, beyond those 18, we have 2 hybrid vehicles, and we're really trying to find ways that we can financially increase our electric vehicles as our old white fleet vehicles are retired, so they're on a cycle. So as those go off into retirement and no longer able to be used, we are looking at replacing them with electric vehicles. Again, those sedans, vans, trucks, and forklifts that we have for our maintenance crew. At the same time, we're facing some real infrastructure and budget constraints due to upcoming EPA regulations in 2027. The diesel engine costs will rise significantly, as I'm sure this group knows. So we're continuing to invest in clean energy and managing the need to purchase diesel buses in the short term and carefully balancing the cost, the infrastructure, and then again, the operational demands. And again, the infrastructure I want to emphasize is a challenge for us that we need to work through. But as we transition our transportation infrastructure, one solution is, making sure that we are thinking about how we partner with our community. So I appreciate this organization in helping think that through. We're also continuing to encourage alternative transportation methods for our employees and thinking about ways that we can encourage them to do that. So we have our staff commuter benefits program that actually reimburses employees who walk, who bike, or utilize public transportation when they're coming to and from work. We have a benefit that they receive financially through reimbursement when they document that through our program that we have for commuter benefits. Because we do think that, again, it's not just our buses and our fleet, but all of the employees who come to work each and every day. Division-wide, we also host 2 walk, bike, and roll to school days where students and families are encouraged to use other forms of transportation. I had fun this past May riding the bike to school with them and this opportunity from Washington Liberty. We rode all the way up to Escuela Kia, one of our elementary schools. We also have a great partnership with our Arlington Transit, our ART bus systems. We use so much acronyms in education, but ART, which is Arlington Transit, called the iRide Smart Trip Fare Free program. And this program is a partnership with the county to make sure that our APS students receive a free Smart Trip card where they can ride any ART bus for free in Arlington, again, limiting the number of high school students driving single-use cars to school and having less of those on the road, as hopefully trying to develop future public transit riders and the whole, practice of them coming to and from school that may transfer into their daily lives, whether it's to work or other things. And as a part of this program, we have 6,000 student cards have been issued since the inception of the program and are being used. So again, when we think about clean transportation, it isn't just in our mind in APS about buses and our information and our vehicles. It's also how we build and operate our schools as well. And one thing that I'm very proud of is that we now have 10 schools with solar array on their roofs. 2 of our schools, in fact, Discovery Elementary and Fleet Elementary, are fully net zero schools. And Fleet Elementary, as a fun fact, is the largest square footage net zero school, net zero energy school in the country. And most recently, we added Cardinal Elementary to our solar school list, and we're continuing to look at how we can provide more solar installations in the designs of our new facilities. We have one new facility coming up, the current Career Center, which has been renamed as our Grace Hopper Ice Center. And we also are doing a major renovation of some of our facilities as we're looking at that in our next CIP process and how we can evaluate solar installations. Again, Fleet Elementary is probably our biggest joy, and pride of joy, I should say. It was the second net zero school in APS, but again, being the largest in the United States, we've had visitors from all over come to see it. And what's wonderful about it, it's not just net zero. That's great. There's also educational opportunities built into the school so that the students can learn about this and see how it impacts their building through a curricular connection. So I invite, if I know Antoine, you and I were talking about the other day, if people want to come visit and see, certainly you can reach out to me. Happy to take a tour, see this Fleet Elementary School. We've had people come from all over the country. Under the previous Secretary of Energy, Secretary Granholm, she brought out many individuals to visit. She herself visited it and got to see some of the exciting things there. But really at Fleet, we're making use of solar and geothermal energy as well as some other energy conservation technologies, and it's designed to have optimal energy performance and then of course being a healthy learning environment for our students, and we teach them how that's connected. So love to host anyone. If you'd love to come see, we welcome you. We also are utilizing geothermal heating and cooling infrastructure in many of our other opportunities to make sure we're decreasing both energy and water use. And we have 5 schools that are using geothermal systems now. We have opportunities again to teach our students about what geothermal is. And then, of course, the benefit to our environment. At one of our schools, Hoffman Boston Elementary School, we're currently building geothermal capacity. And then our brand new building that's coming up, Grace Hopper Center, which is our biggest investment in a new high school in quite some time. That's been designed to allow for future geothermal conversion as we're upgrading our systems. We're prioritizing our energy efficient equipment wherever possible. And so, for us, it's a point of pride, the successes, and it's not me, it's my facilities and operations team. They're the ones who lead this. They're learning, they're teaching me about all the things that we can do. Myself and the school board are setting forth priority and goals in this area around sustainability, but I want to give them a shout out. They're the individuals who make it happen. And sustainability embodies more even than the built environment. Really, we think about the heartbeat of being sustainable and being energy conscious comes from our teachers and our staff who are encouraging and supporting environmental friendly behaviors and teaching that to our students and to their colleagues. And so we have a sustainability liaison program where we now have actual employees, 42 of them at our sites that are supporting these programs, and we provide them a stipend at their school site. They're the cornerstone of making sure that they're bringing in practices and educating on environmental lessons that will think forward through habit building sustainable practices. This year we had our sustainability liaisons. They facilitated 29 recycling projects, 22 reduce and reuse projects, 16 brought in composting to their schools, 33 brought in some expansion to their gardens, and 13 brought in some energy conservation activities, as well as we had several educational sustainability speakers. Maybe some of you, I'm not sure, on this call because we'd had some of our community members came in and helped support us. And so that's another aspect of the work I believe that we need to do when we think about clean energy is how we're teaching practices and how we're teaching behaviors that will increase that opportunity. We also have a lot of lessons with our students to thinking about outdoor learning activities with wildlife connections, learning about invasive plant species removals, litter cleanups, all kinds of things that again are part of the work that I think we have to do in this work. So the Sustainability Liaison Program, again, those are stipended individuals. They have a full-time job, but this is something they do beyond that. And we provide them a stipend to help think about what we're trying to do for our environmental literacy plan that we're working on, which really aligns with our strategic plan, which we have actual goals to reach these metrics that will help make our environment better. Um, Finally, I think that what we think about moving forward of integrating all this work, whether it's the bus, whether it's the vehicles we have, whether it's our employees, our students coming to and from our buildings, or these lessons that we built in our science lessons, we built them in our social studies lessons, we built them in our PE lessons. Meeting tomorrow's sustainability goals requires all of that. And so we are just at the early stages. While I'm proud of a lot of stuff we're doing, we're still always reevaluating. And so I welcome any guidance or thoughts from anyone on this group of ways that APS can be more energy conscious and sustainable. And again, for me, it's about building that student learning and that environmental responsibility into our young people because we are teaching, we have 28,000 students. And if we can make an impact and help them think about this work, long term, that's going to pay off for our environment in a way that is second to none. So thank you again for letting me share a few things we're proud of and for giving a shout out to my staff who've been working very, very hard on these things. But we do remain very committed, and I'm glad to be a partner with this group to think about ways that we can protect our planet. Our students are going to inherit this planet in the future, and they're the ones that we do our work for in APS. So but again, I look forward to learning from all of you and continuing this shared effort for a cleaner, smarter, and more inclusive transportation system, certainly. But again, the whole element of thinking about sustainable environmental spaces for our future. So thank you, Antoine.
Well, we will take you up on that offer, to the invitation, and we'll follow up with you. We're thinking maybe like the 31st or 30th of July, why it's not busy as you get ready to go into August and September. So we'll follow up with you to see if we can make one of those dates work to do a tour of the school and maybe have some of your electric fleet out there. I was excited about some of the other vehicles that you had as well. And we love to see you get some biofuels for some of those other medium heavy duty, because I know those electric forklifts and everything can be really expensive. One thing that we are looking on, in fact, I just got an email this morning from one of our former interns, because we're trying to get more of the school districts to say, and municipalities across the region, that as you transition, we don't have to wait till we can afford to go all electric for some of the goals. Let's do some intermediary steps, like using more low to zero emission vehicles that you can deploy today at a cost effective measure. But so we'll follow up with you. If you can just sit tight for a minute, if we can run through these next couple folks, and then we can take a few questions, we greatly appreciate it. All right. So next, I'd like to go to our next speaker on the agenda for today. And that speaker, I put my notes back up here, will be Dan Roll. I think it's Dan, I don't have my agenda in front of me. Dan Rowe, Business Development Manager for Gravity, and then we followed by Eben Faulkner, Director of Strategic Partnerships for It's Electric. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the intro, Antoine. I have a couple of slides. Should I share or do you guys
No,
have?
we'll share them for you.
Okay.
Stand by.
How's it going, Dan? You doing good?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well.
Good to
I'm
see you.
enjoying my first GWRCCC meeting. So thank you
All
very much.
right. Well, many more to come. We're gonna make sure hopefully you're available on October 23rd for our big conference.
I'll check the diary. Could you flick across to the other presentation that's loaded? Yeah, that one. Thank you very much. Awesome. If you could just go to the next slide. Great. So thank you all for having me. I'm Dan. I'm the Business Development Manager at Gravity. Gravity is an EV charging technology developer. We've developed all of our own hardware, all of our own software, and we've built the fastest charger that is UL certified in the country today. It can operate at 500 kilowatts. We've also developed a curbside charging product, and that's what I'm going to be, spending most of my time talking about today. Just in terms of structure of what I'm going to talk about here. First of all, just going to do a kind of Gravity overview to set the table, and then I'll move on. And the second half of the talk, I'll talk a little bit more about our curbside specific product. So if we could flick to the next slide. Great. So we like to think that we're a little bit different from the other EV charging solutions on the market, fast charging solutions, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we can act as a fully all-in-one partner. So we've developed all of our own hardware, all of our own software. We manage site deployment, and then we operate sites once they've been stood up. We think that is really important to cover that full kind of value chain of EV charging in order to guarantee higher reliability. We see that low reliability of EV chargers is a major issue that's holding back the clean mobility revolution. And by bringing all of these functions under one roof, we're far better able to guarantee reliability, find the issues, find root cause solutions to them. And it puts us in a far better position relative to a lot of the industry, which has disaggregated hardware provider, software provider, site operator, installer. And there are a lot of handoffs there and a lot of opportunities for miscommunications and things to go wrong and charges to stay down because no one's quite sure what's not working. So it's the first thing that's really important to us is being an all-in-one partner and solution for EV charging. Secondly, we are taking a slightly different approach to power, where we both have very, very flexible power sharing capabilities between our chargers. We aggregate power at a site level, and then we dispense that power or we allocate that power to chargers according to the need of vehicles at our site. And by having a power cabinet feeding a large number of chargers, we're able to do a lot more with small budgets of power. And the kind of consequence of that is that we're often able to install fast chargers without requiring a power upgrade. It's obviously not possible in every situation if it's a site on the side of the highway with no infrastructure whatsoever. But we've found that when we're looking in dense urban areas, there actually is a lot of electrical infrastructure, transformers and switchgears that are being used under capacity. And by having very advanced power sharing between our chargers, we're able to install often large numbers of fast chargers without requiring a power upgrade, which can delay the entire process by years. And then finally, the third big differentiator is that our fast chargers are a lot smaller than most of the other chargers in the industry. The standard fast charger right now, it has to be pedestal mounted. It's a little bit like a sort of small ATM. It takes a lot of floor space. That's, again, fine if it's sort of side of a highway use case. But if we're looking at urban centers where space is at a premium, particularly on the curb, it's a less viable solution. So all wrapped up here, you can kind of see that we've developed a slightly different charging product, and we've really developed it with the urban use case in mind. We're a New York-based company. Our genesis as a company actually came out of our founder and CEO being a fleet operator and finding that there weren't adequate charging solutions for him to put in his fleet depot, which is in Manhattan. So he built the charger to do that job. And we really think that having an urban first fast charging solution is critical for the clean mobility revolution. And if we can move on to the next slide, I have a bit of backup data there. So one of our really big customer groups at our pilot site, which is on 42nd Street in Manhattan right now, is for-hire vehicle drivers. And looking at surveys of Uber drivers who have transitioned to electric, it's really, really telling that what they care about is the location of the chargers and the speed of the chargers. And that finding from this Uber report, we've also corroborated with our own surveys. And then the second chart here shows that the vast majority of these drivers are relying on fast charging to charge their vehicles. And it makes sense because most of these drivers need to recharge more than once a day. And it's just not viable to have a level 2 charging situation if that's your vehicle use case. So we think that it is really important when we're thinking about electrification in cities and curbside electrification, not only to focus on sort of very widespread deployment of level 2s, but also to put in the fast charging infrastructure that FHV drivers and fleets need. And also people who live in multifamily housing, they don't have access to home charging. They're sometimes going to need to recharge quickly close to home. So we think it's a really important use case. If we could go to the next slide. Okay, so very quickly, just a bit of a proof point for what we're doing. These are pictures of our existing charging site. It's not on the curb. It is in a very dense urban area. And you can see that these chargers are mounted to walls. They're taking up 0 floor space away from vehicles. This site has 24 500 kilowatt chargers, but we only need a couple of megawatts to power this site, and we were actually able to install it without a power upgrade, which is really surprising to a lot of people in industry. And I think one of my messages that I would have today is definitely don't presume that a power upgrade is going to be necessary if you want fast charging. And not in every situation, but we found in many situations there is power headroom available to put in fast charging with what's already there, particularly if you're operating a larger building. So we'll just keep moving on to the next one and focus explicitly on curbside now. So we've also developed this solution, which we call the Deep Tree, which is specifically for curbside charging. This charger operates at 200 kilowatts. We can install up to 12 of them, and they can be supplied by only 400 or 500 amps of power at 480 volts. And in terms of other options, it's a similar size to a level 2 charger, but a lot faster. We've designed it specifically to be unobtrusive on the curb, and I have another slide about that, so I'll leave that for now. And then we're also designing these chargers and bearing in mind other smart city objectives. So that might mean tech integrations with parking meters, maybe free Wi-Fi, flood warnings, safety warnings, stuff like that. These poles, Deep Trees, will be internet connected so they can support a lot of those other functions. And then finally, we are very, very focused on bidirectional capabilities of EV chargers and EVs themselves. We see a world where these Deep Tree installations can also provide really, really critical demand response functions and emergency power backup in the event of power outages. Still a little way off, but we're designing with that in mind so that as vehicles enable V2G capabilities, we're ready to capitalize on that. Could we go to the next slide? Great. So this is just a little bit about the specific design that we're working on. So we're developing essentially a pole with an articulating arm that when the charger is not in use, a cable is kept nicely out of the way. When a user comes and they do want to plug in their EV, they're able to take the cable, move it around. We have a dampened hinge to reduce the weight of the cable. And by having a moving arm, it's easy to plug your car in, whether your charging port is curbside or street side. And then the other proprietary innovation that we've been working on is we've been building a 90-degree adapter that we can attach to these curbside chargers, and it allows you to plug in the vehicle without having a charge gun that's protruding out into the street, which from our research seems like that's a little bit of a sticking point and can be a hazard for oncoming traffic and cyclists. So that's kind of the content that I have today. I think I'm pretty close to my assigned 7 minutes. But thank you very much for having me. Happy to answer any questions at the end. And yeah, really, really glad to have been able to tell you a little bit about our curbside fast charging solution. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Kim, if you could check the settings, some of the people are saying they can't get in because the meeting's locked. If you can check on that, please. Kim or one of Diane. Next, we'll go to Eben Faulkner, who is with It's Electric, also out of New York City, doing some work in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Welcome. Good to see you this morning.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for having me. And always good to be back with the Clean Cities Coalition. This is my second time presenting with you all, so there's some repeats. Wonderful to be reconnected. My name is Eben Faulkner. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at It's Electric. And Kim is pulling up. Thank you, Kim. We are a Brooklyn, New York-based company that's 100% focused on how to help cities and city dwellers make the transition to electric vehicles. And we have a pilot coming in DC in the next couple of months. Talk a little bit more about that at the end. If you can switch to the next slide. We know that one of the biggest challenges that city dwellers face when they're thinking about making the transition to EVs is this question of charging, as Dan was sharing. This is a very common challenge in cities. And the reason for that is because most people park on the street. So they're not parking, you don't have a driveway, they don't have a garage. If you have those things, what most people do is install some sort of home charging system. If you park on the street, it puts you in a challenging situation that holds a lot of people back from making that change. And in many of our cities, like in DC, like in New York, this has been a huge problem. So we work directly with cities on implementing curbside charging, which we've done in 3 cities so far, and more coming in the next couple of months. Go to the next slide. So there's 2 major differences about our chargers. Obviously, we're here today talking about curbside charging. So the first difference is where they're located. We're not talking about putting things in garages. We're talking about putting them at the curb. And the reason for that is that we strongly believe that what people want is charging that's where their car already is. And for people who park at the curb, that's there at the curb. The other major difference is how they're powered. And we really believe that we need chargers now. And we want to avoid any costly upgrades. We want to use the power that's already on the site. And what's kind of incredible about our cities is that we have this curb, and right next to that curb, we have a building, and buildings have electricity. If you can come to the next slide. They often actually have spare electrical capacity. So we use that to power our chargers. So we're running a conduit from the building to the curb to power a public level 2 charger. And I always emphasize 2 things here. Public, this is a charger that's available to anybody in that community. And these are level 2 chargers, which is really perfectly situated for overnight charging. The idea being that if you think about how we use our phones, for example, few people are kind of charging their phone as the day goes on. Most people, you plug your phone in at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, and there you have a fully charged phone, and you can get through the day that way. We'll talk a little bit about our work with rideshare drivers as well a little bit later on, but they definitely have needs, bigger needs, because they drive for a living. And so for them, we want to make sure that they're starting their day with a full tank. We still say that, a full battery, and can get going right away. Go to the next slide. So when we do this, when we do these curbside charges, which we've deployed in a number of cities so far, there's no hardware installation costs for the city or the property owners when we're putting them at the curb. We separately meter them so that the property owner, while they are powering that charger, they're not going to see any increase in their utility bill. We cover all of those costs. And we also share revenue back with those property partners. We estimate this will be between $700 to $3,400 per year per charger based on utilization. So this is money that's going back into the community, back into the pockets of small businesses and property owners, and can use that to bolster housing stabilization programs or however they want to use it. But we're quite excited about that aspect of the revenue share. Go to the next slide. We also are owner operators of our chargers, so we take care of the permitting through that city process because we have those partnerships with the city in place first. We can install in just 2 days. This is a very light touch installation. We sort of say we're not deep tech, we're shallow tech. And then we own, operate, and maintain the chargers. They're all fully networked, so if something's gone wrong with them, we know we'll come and repair it. It's really there's no expectation the property owner needs to take any responsibility for this. That's on us. Go to the next slide. And it's also a detachable cable model. So you might have noticed something looks a bit different with our chargers. And that means detachable cable means that when the cable lives with the driver, when they're charging, they plug in on both ends. And when they're done, they take it with them. And this is very common in cities in Europe where curbside charging is much more extensive. And there are two big reasons for why we do this. One, the cable is the main point of equipment failure on public chargers. If you've ever had experience where you finally found a charger, it's available, you drive up, you go and to plug in and it's not working, it's usually because something's gone wrong with the cable. So by having the cable live with the driver, you're going to have higher charger uptime. It also means that the thing we're installing in front of people's buildings is a piece of sleek street furniture. There's no cables hanging anywhere. There's no cable maintenance questions. We give the cables to the drivers for free. They keep it with them. And it really becomes their kind of their local charger. This is the place they charge regularly, so they know that they can do that at any time. Go to the next slide. These are the 8 cities where we have partnerships to do curbside charging. We've installed curbside chargers now in Boston, Detroit, and San Francisco. We'll be installing in Alameda and DC and Yonkers in the next couple of months. And I think I was too late. I'll talk. I sent my slides a little late with a revision, but just on the DC pilot, we're working with the District Department of Transportation to do a curbside charging pilot with you all. We're very excited about it. We'll be installing 16 chargers across the district in the next couple of months. There'll be 1 in each ward, 2 chargers at each site, and we're deep in the planning process for that. So would love if anyone wants to reach out to me with questions about what we're doing in general or about the DC pilot. I think the next slide has my email address. I'll also drop it into the chat. Yeah, so even@electric.us. Happy to answer any questions, but really excited to be bringing this to DC where we know the demand is high. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you for being here. I want to let everyone know, I know we're having some challenges right now. So if anyone emails, if we can let them know that they can go right to they can follow this meeting on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook till we work out some of the technical things that are going on. So let's go to our speaker, Mr. Quentin Washington with Quintessential, just off the plane from Africa and Tanzania, and also very accomplished project manager, engineer, and all that. And also want to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the work you're doing around curbside charging and project management as well. Welcome for being here, and thank you for being at the golf tournament, off the plane and onto the greens.
Yes, trying to do everything that I can to support. Good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone survived the storms. Took down a few limbs and stuff over in my yard, so I've been kind of messing around this morning trying to get things cleaned up. But we're here. Okay, and just want to say my name is Quentin Washington. I'm with Quintessential Construction Managers and Consultants. We are a EV charging station partner with EV Tech Incorporated out of Plano, Texas. They manufacture, manage, and assist us with all things EV charging stations. Today, we're going to talk about the electric vehicle curbside charging, implementing curbside charging programs in the public right-of-way. I want to also mention that we're located in the DMV. We're headquartered out of Tysons Corner, Virginia, and got a few projects in the work that we're working on funding for over in Prince George's County. Next slide. Okay, curbside charging. In my travels across the U.S., I know that there are local jurisdictions that are working on implementing curbside charging programs, i.e. level 2 and fast charging stations on the street and public right-of-ways. This is something that they're trying to utilize to play a role in providing access to charging for those who live in residences, may not have off-street, on curbside parking, things of that sort, or maybe in multifamily housing. This is kind of something that they're getting started with. And based on some of the previous speakers that have spoken, you can see that they're doing stuff in various locations across the country. Next slide. Curbside charging configurations and applications. Charging, basically has many categories that they're utilizing. I know there was some talk about fast chargers. We tend to deal with the level 2 so that we can access available power that's already there at the buildings that we're trying to make these installations with. As you can see on the slide, and showing one of the level 2s that we have, one of the level 2s that we install. We try to attach it, like I said, to existing infrastructure. Next slide. Basically, we feel that utilizing the existing infrastructure, it allows us to save some cost. You don't have to excavate as much, doing trenching and other wiring type things, which tend to be the costly part of charging installations. So we're able to do things, relatively simple. And in the picture here, it shows an example of one of our installations. Next slide. Basically, had taken a trip to Seattle, Washington, and had the opportunity to take a look at what they were doing in the area. And basically what they were doing is they had a street light program that they had completed, and they were utilizing the power, the existing power utilized for the street lights, which were LEDs, and utilize that to power some pole mounted EV charging stations. And they basically install them throughout the city. We don't tend to install any pole mounted, although we have been investigating it because I'm in conversation with the city of Seattle right now, get a better understanding of how all this works for them and the pros and cons of things. But this is an example of something they're doing in the city of Seattle. Next slide. Basically, when you're you're thinking about putting in curbside charging, you got to do what we call, you have to truly think about the fit of the charging system that you're putting in for the purpose that you're planning to use it for. You got to take in consideration, whether or not, the height of what you've got in is proper, for visual purposes. Cable length is enough, and you're able to avoid any damages that may, take place due to, snow plows that may come through during the winter, or trash trucks that run along the curb and things of that sort. You also want to make sure that you've got a unit display that provides more user-friendly type information. And again, in this photo, we got another example of one of the curbside installations. Next slide. Okay, with regard to curbside chargers, there are various different ownership type models that come into play. There's like city owned, ownership models. There's a utility owned, third party owned, where basically the charging company, people like ourselves, pretty much manage what's going on. And they have a hybrid setup, which is something that we're exploring right now, which is a combination between our company and either utility or city working together on the management and ownership of the models that we install. Next slide. And with that, I just didn't want to make sure I ran over time, but I wanted to leave my information, which provides you with, the contact information for me. I can leave my email address in the chat for any questions that, anyone may have. But as I said before, we're a certified EV Tech reseller. We're partnered with them from the standpoint of managing the installations of EV charging stations in various places across the country.
All right, we did have a question for you from there were a few questions in here, and I see Eben had responded to one of them from Emmanuel. Hi, Emmanuel from Honda. See, there were a couple questions for some of you. So the first question was, ooh, we got a lot of questions in here, huh? All right. So the first one was for from Emmanuel for gravity. Dan, if you want to just go over that really quick, what you
Yeah.
said.
Sure. So I think second question is easiest. We have one site that's operational right now. We have contracts signed for additional 8 sites in LA and hoping to sign another couple, likely in New York, imminently. First question was how we deploy many fast chargers without power upgrades. So we do that by being able to share power flexibly across all chargers on a given site. Unlike other players in the space who are using a power cabinet to charge a system architecture, we're doing that, but we can also chain our power cabinets together, which allows us to share power between more chargers, which only increases the value of power sharing. Secondly, our power cabinets are equipped with power modules of only 30 kilowatts. So we can allocate power in packets of 30 kilowatts, which is less than most other fast charging providers on the market. Those two things combined mean that we can have very high ratios of nameplate capacity to dedicated power, which means that we can put in, what looks like an installation that would require 12 megawatts of power using only a couple. We're using slightly over 2 megawatts for that installation. Happy to kind of dive in deeper with diagrams and whatnot, but probably this is not the
So what I would say is
format
we're
right now.
looking at probably have a panel on this topic at our conference, and maybe we can have a panel on this at our conference, and maybe I can have an information table or an exhibit booth or something. Some of the folks who are here because there's a lot of interest. Really quickly, I wanted to go Quentin, or even if you are just 30 seconds, how have you been able to convince municipalities to move forward with this concept on the right way? And then I want to end with Dr.
Yeah, it's a great
Dorana.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Emily, for that. We work really closely with the municipalities. That's the very first partnership we have. And a lot of my colleagues who lead that engagement with the cities come from city agencies. So they really understand how cities think about their right of way, how understandably protective and careful they are with what is allowed to go in there. So we always work with them first to make sure that we're aligned on a permitting pathway and aligned on priorities, whether that's in terms of location, like particular neighborhoods that are specifically EV infrastructure poor. We want to make sure that that we're thinking strongly about equity when how we show up in a city, making sure that we're filling those gaps and not only going where the adoption is already high, but making sure that we're doing this equitably across the whole jurisdiction. So I said we'll follow up more afterwards, but I'm happy to answer questions and connect folks to my colleague who runs our government relations and public affairs
So
team.
if all the three of you, if you can put your emails in the chat for people, that would be great. Quentin, any 20 seconds? You got any response to that?
Well, basically, from the standpoint of dealing with municipalities, as you know, I've been a resident here in the district for 20 years now. After traveling all over the world, working in different parts of the world. Basically, in the line of work that we do, construction management services, we deal with the permitting, other code regulations, and things of that sort. So we're already pretty connected with a lot of the municipalities from that standpoint. I just felt that getting involved in the charging station installations was the right next step for us to provide something else for the municipalities that we deal with.
Dr. Duran, you have the final word. Just one quick thing. Leading during this difficult time of unpredictability at the federal level, how are you all transitioning and continue to do the great work that you've been doing in Arlington County? How are you all pressing forward?
Well, one thing I think that's really beneficial about being in Arlington County is our county government, our county board, our county manager. We're really working together to try and think through some of the potential federal funding losses and how we could still stay focused on our priorities. And so that's something that we're having ongoing conversations with because at the end of the day, we want to keep our goals and maintain our efforts in the area of trying to do better for our students, for our environment, for our overall community. And so that's I'm really lucky, I think, in some places. You asked a question about municipalities my colleagues on the panel. We have here in our county government a board and staff who really are committed to this work. And so when you have like-minded people who are really focused and determined, we will find a way through even those difficult, challenging times. We put our heads together and try and find a path forward.
All right, fantastic. Well, I want to invite you all to come out October 23rd. We're going to have a panel on school buses and clean energy initiatives in schools, curbside charging, and a number of panels. So love for you all to come out and see if we can get you all to share that with a broader group of people. So without further ado, if you've not registered for October 23rd conference, please do that. If you're not a member of Greater Washington Region Clean Cities, please join today. I see a number of folks on here who are not members, institutions, individuals, corporations, government, school district, et cetera, can be members as well. And we will follow up with you, Dr. Duran, about the 30th or 31st of July. If you're going to be in town, we'd love to take a tour and see some of the great work that you all are doing in Arlington. All right. Thank you all. Till next time. We never go over. This is the first time I think we've gone over 2 minutes. So